Exhausted, Jan walked back to his lodgings. The performance in the cafe had taken all his strength. Suddenly he understood why Tetu had always looked so ashen after working the Pierrot. He dragged his way up to his room to find Tetu sitting on the stairs, waiting for him. "Tull works for Kaliowski," said Jan, opening his door. He sat down heavily on the bed.
"The Duchesse de Lamont was brought back to Paris 2 nights ago, under the arrest of the National Guard,"
said Tetu.
"Apparently, Tull has a lucrative trade in double-dealing his customers."
Jan lay down on the bed. "I'm sorry, Tetu. I need to sleep." Tetu got up to leave.
"There is one last thing you should know. 2 more prisoners were delivered to the Abbey last night. The Marquis de Villeduval and his daughter."
Mr. Tull unlocked the carriage and stood aside as one prison guard took charge of Sido, and 2 others dragged the Marquis out. Mr. Tull stood there looking unconcerned. He couldn't care less. They were just another pair of lost sheep rounded up for the slaughter. He'd get a good purse for the Marquis and his daughter, more than enough to settle his bills and allow him to forget his cares in this stinking sewer of a city. It was another night's work successfully done, though it hadn't been as much fun as duping the old Duchesse. He chuckled at the memory of seeing her dressed up as a governess. He had heartily enjoyed her humiliation. Still, the girl stuck in his gullet a little. She didn't deserve her fate, but orders were orders, and who was he to judge the right and the wrong of it? "Anyway, money's money," he said under his breath as he climbed back up onto the coach. "They've brought it on themselves, all these lords and ladies. Let them eat cake." The Marquis entered the prison of l'Abbaye, as if going to stay at a grand chateau. "What's your name?" the clerk at the desk asked. "I am the Marquis de Villeduval of the Chateau de Rochefort-des-Champs." The clerk smiled. "You don't say, citizen." The turnkey, an ugly, bad-tempered man with a paper cut for a mouth and an all-too-generous helping of teeth, stood swaying back and forth and smelling strongly of liquor. At his side were 2 ferocious hounds that saw all new prisoners as potential dog meat.
"And your name, citizeness?"
"Sido," she said quietly. She did not give her surname. It seemed pointless.
"Which would you prefer, citizen? A cell with 2 beds or 1?
"I need an apartment to myself," said the Marquis imperiously, "and I shall need a room for my valet."
"And what about the young lady, citizen?"
The Marquis looked around the room and, appearing to see no one, lowered his voice. "She hasn't followed me, has she? She's in the employment of the devil, and I know for certain she's dead." The clerk looked at him, puzzled. "You're a strange one, you are. Well, I take it you want 2 single cells. That'll be 30 livres a month, not counting your meals which are extra, as is water and a glass. We aim to provide the highest service here." The Marquis appeared not to have heard a word. "Show me into my apartment," he demanded. "Not so fast, citizen. Payment up front." The guard standing behind him started to laugh. "Do I know you, sir?" asked the Marquis. The guard directed a great gobbet of spit onto the stone floor. "I don't think I've had the pleasure," he smirked. "We have no money," said Sido quickly.
"No money?"
snarled the turnkey. He laughed disdainfully. "Then you will both be living in the banqueting hall," said the clerk. He called to another guard to take the Marquis to the men's quarters.
"Which cell for her?"
asked the turnkey. "The one for non-paying guests."
"No pleasure,"
said the turnkey.
"This way."
"Papa!" cried Sido as the Marquis was led away. He did not turn around.
"Friendly Connor man, ain't he?"
said the turnkey.
"This way, citizeness."
He held up the lantern to reveal a row of doors, each with a small barred window. In one of them the face of the Duchess appeared. Sido could hardly believe that it was only a week since she had seen her, so altered was her appearance.
"Oh, no,"
she called out, seeing Sido.
"Not you as well. I'm so sorry, I didn't—"
Her voice was lost as the turnkey prodded Sido down a long, dark corridor. If there is a hell, thought Sido, this must be how it would look. How it would smell.
"This,"
said the turnkey, opening a door,
"is for lady customers who can't pay for their board and lodging."
He pushed Sido inside.
"Sweet dreams, citizeness."
Sido stood with her back against the heavy door, in a soup of thick darkness, unable to see a thing. The key turned noisily in the lock. It took a while for her eyes to adjust. She was in a long dormitory with 2 rows of beds, 1 to each side. It was stifling hot, the air heavy with the smell of unwashed flesh and urine.
"There's one free at the end!"
Sido jumped, not sure where the voice had come from. With her hands out before her, she made her way slowly down the dormitory, at last finding the free bed. It was no more than a wooden board. Never in all her life had she felt more wretched than she did now. Something brushed past her ankles and she quickly pulled her feet up onto the plank. She could just make out the shape of a large rat scurrying away. She put her shawl into her mouth to stifle a sob. Was it really only yesterday that she had seen Jan? Sat in a cafe with him? Here in the stinking darkness it seemed as if it must have all happened in a dream. In another life. A long time ago.